So we're continuing how it's possible for you to make your first $1 million as an online coach, personal brand influencer, and how I made my first $1 million. So in the last video, I talked to you about my journey of how I decided I'm going to go all in with coaching, was introduced to this, because, I talked about the tarot and the Tony Robbins course that came out. So basically, around the time where I was just like, I want to give up my medical career, I want to go all into coaching, I want to make $1 million as a coach, I basically had gone to this Valentine's Day thing with the person that I was with, and they had a tarot reader person there, so we just did it for fun. It was fucking accurate. Like, it was scary as hell how accurate it was. But this girl was like, I think she was a priest at a church as well, or not a priest, but she was a part of some ministry or something. She was just a very positive person. And her way of kind of sharing things with you was like, it was almost as if she was a coach. She was kind of like giving you self-improvement tips, and she was inspiring you, and she was creating new beliefs in you. I think that's what she did for me. So again, it's like, if you're into this stuff, that's fine. But I always say, like, if you're going to take something, take the positives from it and run with it and use it to create the life you want. So one of the things she told me, and this was in February of that year, right? Because Valentine's Day weekend. One of the things she told me is that you have a gift and you have an art, and you've been holding yourself back from actually going all out with it because of fear or family or this or that. And once you decide to go all out with that gift, it will take off wilder than you can imagine. And you will want to scream and shout your message from the rooftops, and you'll want to, like, this thing will take off like bigger than you can imagine. And then she predicted another part of my future, which I think I'm in now, so you guys can witness it, where she said that it's really cool, all the things she said. She said that I basically am someone who's like a miracle worker, where I can create something when there was nothing. I can create something, and I can create, I forgot the exact words she used. I should upload the video for you guys so you guys can see it. But it was just phenomenal, and she was a great speaker as well. And she said, and she pointed to the person I was with. She was like, unlike her, you're a miracle worker. Unlike her, you can create, a sandcastle out of clay. You can, basically she was pointing at how, I have this ability to manifest and create things, right? And so I used that. Whether she was lying, whether she was just saying it to make me feel good, or if she actually thought that about me, I didn't care. I was going to use it to my advantage. And when she talked about how, the second thing she said, that you're going to combine two things that the world has never seen before, right? And that was really exciting for me as well. And so, anyways, lots of cool things. So that kind of stayed with me. And the part that stayed with me the most was where she said that when you go all out with your gift, with your art, it's just going to take off. It's going to take off wilder than you can imagine. And that stuck with me. So whether that was the truth, whether she made that up, I decided to grab it and borrow it as a belief. I decided to keep thinking it and thinking and thinking it. This is why it's so important to latch on to positive beliefs, even if they're made up, because every thought is made up at the end of the day, right? And then to wear that, try it on, to make that a part of you. And I did that. So then, because I was believing, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to launch, I'm going to do this, I'm ready. I talked to a few people about it. They projected probably my own fears back to me, kind of like, hey, like, I don't know if you should do that. That's not what, you should do. There's no security there. What if you don't make any money from it? Online coach, what is that? It'll be on the streets, you'll be broke. So most people would kind of encourage me to go back to my traditional path, right? And so it took a lot of balls, and it was hard to have those conversations. It was hard for me to stick to my own guns. It was hard for me to not hate the people, even though some of them were close loved ones, and still do what I want to do, right? So that's why I think entrepreneurship is such a powerful self-development journey. It really makes you a stronger person, I think, and I think it gives you better character because of some of the hardships that are involved. And I would do it all over again because, yes, there's hardships involved, but the only thing harder is not doing what you want. The only thing harder than everything I did would be working some fucking job right now, being someone I'm not. I can't even imagine that. Like, the amount of freedom I have now, like, you can't even imagine, right? So basically the course came out, and when the Tony Robbins course came out, which I think is a manifestation for me as well, because I've always loved him, it was about entrepreneurship, starting your own business. It was with Dean Graziosi, and so I just saw that as a sign, like, okay, I have to join this. I joined that coaching program. There were a ton of people in it. It's a long story, but I was just having so much fun. I was like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to help as many people as I can. I had no idea what business I was going to start. In fact, I was asking people in there, and most of it was like mindset at the time. I was on an intermittent fasting journey, and I'd lost like 50 pounds, and I was actually selling some health coaching here and there. But eventually, I heard a podcast, and the podcast was basically about, making money online, making money as a coach. And one of the things that I kind of told myself was that I think the coach actually was mentioning that, I'm trying to remember the exact words. Basically, it inspired me in a way where, like, this coach basically was already a millionaire, right? And I thought that I can't show up the way they are, and I can't offer the same things they are because I'm not a millionaire yet. So I just can't do it. But then in my mind, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to become one. I'm going to show up as one. And if I show up as one, I'll become them. And guess what? That's exactly what I did. And I'm going to talk more about becoming and being that version of you now and how you manifest those results in other videos in this course. But I think me making that decision changed the trajectory of my life and thousands of other people's that I've impacted, right? And on a personal level, family and friends, So it was just like a really, really, I think, inspiring time for me. And basically from there, a lot of people in that group were trying to start their own coaching businesses, their own knowledge businesses. So I was just kind of helping them, posting it for free, because I was just loving the fact that people were engaging with me. I had hundreds of people now in this community who were commenting on my posts, who were liking my posts. They said they were going to print it, post it on their fridge. I was like, what? Little old me? I was like, they're printing my stuff and posting on the fridge. I felt significant for the first time in my life after a very long time, because I felt like I belonged also. Like, these were my people. They get me. They're into positive mindset, positive psychology, self-improvement, the coaching world, right? And when you feel like you belong, when you feel like you're interacting with people who understand that part of you, there's no better feeling. And they were appreciating me, right? And so I was just so fired up then. And long story short, many of them were asking me, like, hey, how did you make money as a coach? Because I remember I made my first few $1,000s as a coach, which I talked about in the previous video. So go back and watch those if you haven't. And so I was like, yeah, I made a few $1,000s, so I could teach someone how to make their first 1,000, which mostly 80% of it's mindset. The other 20% is like strategy and showing up, right? So I did that. And my first program was called First 1K, right? Because I really wanted to help as many people who were kind of like baby coaches, like starting out where I was a few years ago, and I wanted to help them as much as possible. And so I even asked them, like, hey, what should I call the program? And then most people voted on First 1K. It was to make your first $1,000, because if you make your first $1,000, you can make your first 10K and 100K and so on and so forth. And so that's essentially what I did. And that program took off. I did a workshop before that when I was figuring out what to do. It was about how to narrow down your niche, and 3 people had bought. I sold that for $100. I made $300 again. That was the first $200 I had made that August, which was life-changing again for me, because I'd made money as a coach after a long time, after a gap of like a couple of years, right? 2-3 years. And so that was life-changing. Then like September, I was launching, kind of getting the program together, like figuring out what I'm going to do and offer, promote it. Then October, I launched it and made my first fucking like $8,000 in 72 hours. I probably still have that video up somewhere on YouTube. And then I made my first $10,000 that first 2 weeks of launching. I sold a program for $500 to 20 people, and I made my first $10,000. It was a group coaching program. Okay, 4 weeks, 1 hour a week. I taught the lesson, 1 hour a week. I did Q&A with them, and it was all live. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was excited, and I helped every single one. Every single one of those clients benefited from me, and that's how I made my first 10K. And that absolutely changed my life forever. So in the next video, I'm going to go over what I did after that to make my first $1,000,000. If you want coaching with me, if you're fired up, you're ready to start making your first 10K and then eventually your first $1,000,000 as a coach, go ahead and check out the show notes below to find out how to work with me. I'll get in touch with you and we'll go from there. Lots of love. Bye.